So here I am back again in the lovely warm snug rug. I'm not sponsored by them, but it's really warm and I'm really ill. But being the dedicated content creator that I am, I had to get you one thing up before the Extreme Rules pay-per-view on Saturday. So here we go. Shall we get into it? Let's go. I will power through this. Hello and welcome to FTTR. I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about WWE. In particular, we are talking about the White Rabbit. Something I have not got my thoughts on, got my thoughts out there into the universe about the White Rabbit and everything that's going on with that big cock tease. But yes, please hit subscribe for more wrestling content. I promise I won't always be looking like this. I will actually at one point be fully dressed with, not a croaky voice and a sore throat. But again, let's power through this. Let's talk about the White Rabbit. So, first off, my plans were actually scuppered because I was supposed to be talking about New Japan Royal Quest. But that is not available on VOD. So I was going to have 2 reviews up of each night. That's not happened. And then I was like, who shit? What am I going to talk about, in between now, this was Saturday, and Extreme Rules? And I couldn't think of anything. I was completely, having a blank, a creator blank. This is a word, but writer's block. That's the one. But White Rabbit, I've not spoken about this. You all know. You should all know, unless you knew. If you knew, hello, welcome to the channel. I love Bray Wyatt. He's one of my favourite wrestlers in the world. I have a Fiend pop figure up there somewhere. I have 2 Fiend hoodies, 2 Fiend t-shirts. The Fiend was my absolute jam when he was in WWE. So when he was released, I was devastated, absolutely devastated, because he is a money-making machine, and just he had some of the best creative storylines in wrestling at the time. His feud with Cena was fantastic. The start of his feud with Orton was okay. And when they added spookiness, that's when it all went over the edge. But now we're getting these White Rabbit teasers. Now, I've gone on the assumption this is Bray. This is 100% Bray. But will we be disappointed? That's the question I put out into the universe. Because obviously, we as human beings and consumers of entertainment like long-form storytelling and drip-feeding storylines. So I'm going to go, as I always do, back to Doctor Who, and in particular Season 2, David Tennant series, we had the little sprinkles of the word Torchwood was used every now and then. You'd see it on a poster, you'd hear them mention it offhand. Season 3, you'd hear Mr. Saxon get named, see him get his name get dropped, and then show up in the finale. It's a good way to tell storylines with these little Easter egg hunts that you're like, ooh, what's that? What's that? What's that? The White Rabbit has actually been pretty ingenious in its marketing and its portrayal because it's getting fans physically involved. You're scanning the QR codes, you're following these puzzles, following these puzzles, you're going on Google, you're finding all this information that points to, as of last night's Raw, Extreme Rules and the arena that it's in, because I can't remember. Maybe it's a Barclays Centre, I'm not sure. But it's that arena, the Extreme Rules arena. On that date, something is happening with the White Rabbit. I'm pretty hyped for this. I don't think... It's hard, because obviously Bray he is a creative genius. Will he want to regress back to the Fiend, or is this going to be something completely new, something completely trippy, something really horror and macabre? That's what I'd like to see, personally. The Fiend had its run, had its time in the sun. As much as I love that character, it's going to take a lot of rebuilding to get it back up to where it was at SummerSlam 2019. So yeah, there's a lot of hard work there, but starting off from scratch, maybe just sprinkling in some new elements. Maybe it's this weird Funhouse, P.T. Barnum, White Rabbit mix kind of thing, like the show Carnival. That always looked spooky. I never actually watched it, but it looked spooky. Or American Horror Story Carnival? Is that what it was called? Where I watched the first episode and they had a really spooky clown. As you can tell, I don't complete TV shows, apart from Doctor Who, obviously. But yeah, I'd like to see some sort of weird funhouse circus mixed with trippy horror Alice in Wonderland vibes. That's what I'm getting. My head is just going to Guillermo del Toro on this and seeing what Guillermo del Toro could do with it, like a Alice in Wonderland White Rabbit concept. And that's kind of the same vibe as BRAY. You know, you look at the outfit and everything for the Fiend, especially when he was burnt. There's a lot of body horror, you know, really altruistic vibes coming off him. And I think he's an incredible mind for horror imagery, because there was some really cool horror imagery with BRAY. So yeah, I've gone on a bit of a tangent there of what I want the White Rabbit to be. That's my vibe. Trippy ass Alice in Wonderland, otherwise known as Alice Madness Returns on the Xbox 360. Sick game, check it out if you can. So the White Rabbit overall has to be BRAY, because otherwise I think it will be a disappointment. I've seen theories that it might be Joe Gacy getting the call up. That would definitely be a disappointment. Nothing against Joe Gacy, but that is not, he wouldn't get the pop required of some sort of, you know, debut in that scenario. So I think it has to be BRAY. As to where he debuts, I think that's probably the most interesting aspect of this, because you look at the card, there are 6 matches announced. Don't think it's going to be Seth and Riddle. It's not going to be Ronda Liv Morgan. It's not going to be the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus. It's not going to be Bayley, Bianca. It's not going to be, what's the other match? Is Bliss even on the card? I can't remember if Alexa Bliss is on the card. Bear with me 2 seconds. So you've got Edge versus Finn Balor in an I Quit match, and you have got Drew versus Karrion Kross in the strap match. So of all those matches, I'm presuming Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey will main event, so I don't think he's showing up there. He's not going to show up with Seth. I think Seth made that clear in a recent interview that he doesn't sort of want anything to do with BRAY. Not going to show up in Brawling Brutes and Sheamus, because that is a mid-card feud at best. Not going to show up in Bianca. Potentially, there is that Alexa Bliss element, so maybe he'll show up and draw Alexa Bliss in. That's personally not what I would want. I think the place to debut BRAY on this card is Edge versus Finn Balor, because obviously the Judgment Day, I don't want him to join the Judgment Day, okay? I do not want that. Let's get that out there. I want him to, maybe the Judgment Day leave after winning, after beating Edge. Then I want him to show up and take down Edge in some regard. And I think there's a lot of mileage in a Edge Bray Wyatt feud, particularly if he's drawing upon the history of the character and all the stuff Edge has done as a heel in WWE. I think that could be an incredible way to debut Edge. My only issue with that is, with this being an I Quit match, I'd quite like Judgment Day to get a good rub by just destroying Edge and maybe writing him off TV. But if I had to debut him anywhere, I would debut him here against Edge. So, that's my plan. Spooky Alice in Wonderland mixed with Carnival for Bray Wyatt's character. Debuting at Extreme Rules and attacking Edge. So if we were playing Cluedo, the Cluedo of BRAY, that would be my 3. That would be my 3. It was BRAY in the bathroom with a candlestick. Now, right. Thank you for listening to that rambly, absolutely fucking rambly piece of nonsense that I've just given to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to know your thoughts on the White Rabbit down in the comments below. Let me know who you think it is, if you think he will debut at Extreme Rules, and who do you want his first feud to be. Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.